Do you need help removing your coat?
He did, like he's like getting focus on it. You see his the camera's pecker literally got hard at that moment.
I know.
He's struggling. We're gonna get
Real
it.
life.
They got Nick's like
moment.
up my ass with his cell phone because I'm struggling with my sweat. And I'm sweating too. You wanna get something else?
Spitzing.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Sorry. Please.
You don't understand, like, these guys became my best friends in,
Oh,
like,
for real?
the 40 minutes before you came. The pandemic hit and I was like, I can't do stand-up. I'm going crazy.
Right.
I just did it because I couldn't do stand-up and I was going crazy and I needed an outlet. And then I knew I didn't want guests because I cannot ask people to be on my podcast. I just can't do it.
I know,
And
believe me.
I was so excited to do yours. I don't want to like put this on you, but
No.
I wrote a book and they wanted me to get blurbs and I was like, I can't ask anyone to read a book. I just won't do it. You know, I just made them up. I made
You
up
can
fake
ask.
ones.
It is truly the a hell like another.
Yeah. So I go, well, I'm just going to do like what Bill Burr does. I'm just going to talk, you know? And then I go, well, I'd love people to call in. And my plan was for it to be silly and dumb and funny. But the trajectory of the podcast really is from the callers.
Yep.
And it's just become like way more serious than I thought. But I'm really interested in it because, I mean, my hero is Mr. Rogers. And I'm interested in relationship. I'm interested in the dynamic between people, ego getting involved, and how that relates to every single thing going on in the world now, you know? Yeah. And so it's been really, I've been enjoying it. It's really interesting.
You started out as a comedian and like, it's like, I'm just wondering about like that shift. I'm trying to look at it for myself too.
Yeah,
Like now
I was
you have
very
what?
hardcore.
Straight up.
You
But like
know?
you have this responsibility. Do you feel like you just have a responsibility to these? Because people are like talking about really, really deep issues and things that are really, really affecting them. And they're coming to you to have you discuss it, you know, for your audience.
It's kind of become this community. And the crazy thing is that didn't occur to me because I'm not worldly. I've been everywhere in America because of touring, but I haven't been to a lot of countries. So many people call from other countries. And it's so interesting to me. I'm like, oh, this is in England? We had a caller from Iran, like a gay guy who cannot be gay. You know, there's a woman comic, like the only woman comic in Iran is like going to prison for a joke for 2 years. She just got out of 25 days of solitary confinement. It's like, it's crazy over there. But I also see so many, now I'm changing this. This is what I do. I go like a million places. But Iran is so interesting because if you Google pictures of Iran, I've said it a lot. I think I'm saying it right. If you Google pictures of it in like the 70s, it's like women in bikinis and a total hippie culture.
Yep.
Like religion
Discos
happens
and
to that. Extremism happens to them. And we think it can't happen here, and it's happening. Like, the fringes, the fundamentalists are bananas and always hate women. To me, it's a difference between the liars and the lied to. And I think there are a lot of people who are very malleable because they're fear-based. Yep. And that makes them very easy to manipulate. And there are politicians and billionaires taking advantage of that. I do think also the right and the left are mirroring each other in lots of ways that I see. I mean, I'm a far left. I always think of myself as a far left person, and yet I see like a real elitism. Elitism?
That works.
Elitiness. I think it's an elitiness. Where I wish instead of going, you said the wrong pronoun, or you said, I mean, I'm so excited to take on people's pronouns and still I f it up. And it's a learning curve. And anyone who's a they, them in my life, I'll go, well, and they'll go, don't worry about it. You're trying. It's like going to France. They just want you to try to speak French and then they'll speak English. But to just go, you said the wrong thing, or we don't say that now. We say this. Is so elitist when you can go, join us. We're doing something cool. And you could be a part of it. And the right kind of does that well in, however, but Well, I don't know why the left doesn't do that. I don't know why they're so arrogant, you
Yeah.
know. And I say them. I'm in it, but I look around and I go like, stop being.
Yeah.
We want people to, you know, a lot of right-wing pundits are people who had like failed comedy careers or failed like pilots.
It's crazy.
And or there are comedians that go that direction. And I'm not saying they're failures. What I'm saying is all of us in this industry, it's about ego and it's mostly not healthy.
Yeah.
You know,
yearning for some bit of attention.
wanting strangers to love us.
Straight up.
And they're no different, but they went towards the love. Mm-hmm. Trump went towards love. He was a Democrat. He gave money to Hillary. Yeah. That's what Hitler did.
Yeah, he was an artist. He was a deep DJ.
Well, that's what someone, we were hanging out and someone said, well, you know, Kanye is bipolar and I understand that. And I've been friendly with Kanye. I mean, the last time I talked on the phone with Chappelle, it was with Kanye, on both of them on the phone. So it's very odd to be in this position, you know? But, you know, he goes, well, but he has mental health issues. So did Hitler, right? I mean, Hitler wasn't sane. It doesn't mean you're not incredibly influential and powerful. As a matter of fact, with Trump, with so many billionaires and trillionaires, they got successful because they're filling this unfillable hole.
For sure.
And it's a real recipe for success a lot of the time in terms of money.
Yeah.
But they all find that they still aren't happy. They still don't feel cool.
Right.
You know, I mean, they're still riddled.
Right.
And the last thing they want to do is have to look inward.
Right.
I mean, I think Trump's even said that in an interview. Like, someone asked if he had ever been to therapy, and he said, "Oh, I could never do that. I would be afraid of what I'd find." Like way before he was president.
Right. And what about for the folks that you feel like are so susceptible to kind of their? Do you have compassion for them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did this show on Hulu where I just went to basically like Trump-loving families and had them host me.
Yeah.
You know, where I didn't know where the bathroom was. I didn't know I put my well-being in their hands.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anyone of those experiences that I didn't leave loving them.
Yeah.
And I know they loved me too.
Yeah, of course.
Because if you're face-to-face, it's just totally different.
Hey, man. And there's so much power to push us apart, and we're getting confused, you know, like strength and patriotism is getting confused with like standing on either side, just waving the out of your flag. And it's like, nothing could be less patriotic, nothing could be less strong. But like that, and that's kind of, I mean, you know, for whatever, you know, that's really what I think we've really tried to do, is sit down with all kinds of people and especially bring folks together that you would think maybe are on like different sides of things, and be like, look, you know, when you actually are in it, when you actually are on the ground, when you're actually experiencing it, there's moments of connection. You know, the pain that you're both going through can be an adhesive. You find things you respect about each other. You laugh at each other's jokes. You know,
there's always a place to connect. And I also think as a comic, that's what we get really good at, even just subconsciously. Because you have an audience and you have to find a way to connect with them.
Right.
And you can connect with anyone.
That's right.
You know, I always say it's like, oh, I don't want to go to Thanksgiving because the politics are different and blah, blah, blah. It's like, don't talk about TV. Like, I am a huge fan of TV. So it's like, and I always use the example of Walking Dead. So like, don't talk about
Walking Dead the first 2 seasons.
Yeah. Shane really catapulted him.
So stupid. Yeah.
But that is what I say, because it shows like that bring people together.
For sure.
Don't say, what do you think about so-and-so in politics? Go, oh my God, did you see Walking Dead? Like, I used to hate Carol. Now she's my world.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's funny because really what the recipe is the buddy movie recipe, right? You bring 2 people together that seemingly have nothing in common, that hate each other's guts, and while working on a common goal, they realize they're not so different after all. Totally. And that's why bringing people together shouldn't be, we're coming together because we're different, we have different ideologies, but we're coming together to build a house for...
Got to be on mission. You got to have something that you got to do together. And I mean, like, that's the thing. If you look at like 48 Hours, I love that movie, right? But it is literally like an alcoholic, like racist cop with this like convict who, I mean, there's no way you're making that movie now. Like no way, you know what I mean? And the very reason that you couldn't make that movie is because you couldn't, like not being able to say it, not being able to just like throw that out there is also like you'll never get there.
It's funny. I don't know if this is really, but it makes me think of when I was a kid. My mom watched soap operas, you know, and there was a woman on a soap opera. I think she was on, I don't know, All My Children or something. Mm-hmm. But she was a black woman who was a star on one of these soap operas, and we saw her on a talk show, like Merv Griffin or something. It was a long time ago. And I remember her saying, the parts I get are like judges or, you know, lawyers. And she's like, and of course that was a reaction to the parts being drug addicts and prostitutes. But it was such an overcorrection. She goes, I never get a chance to play a 3-dimensional character who has vices, who has problems because of this overcorrection where it's like black people have to be really smart and perfect and this and you know, I mean, I think we've come a real long way since then, and it took a very long time, and it still is, but a new way where we can really talk. Mm-hmm. Colin Quinn is a great example of a comic who talks about every kind of race, every kind of like group, not as a monolith, but as a, like, you know, he's from Brooklyn, and he does it with such love that everyone in that audience from every one of the groups he's talking about loves it.
You can tell he's a New Yorker. You can tell that he celebrates what that place is about.
I mean, it's with so much love, and it doesn't mean that the comedy's soft. Having love when you say it means you can go hard.
Yep.
And we're at a very touchy place, you know, right now. So it's very odd.
Tell me just like, I think for all this, because you said it before, just explain to people who don't really understand New Hampshire, like just like describe. You know, I got a lot of trouble when I was young, and I went to a camp, a sort of like discipline-based kind of camp up in New Hampshire, and then like very traditional. It was called Pemi Jawasset, but Pemi Jawasset. There's no Jews there. It was like mandatory church, but then I went back and I was a counselor there as well. But it was up in the White Mountains. A little town called Wentworth, New Hampshire, but
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's tiny.
There's so many tiny towns. That's the thing about New Hampshire.
Wild.
It's like a million tiny towns.
But like wild as and like I don't know. I love New Hampshire, and for all, you know, when my brothers and all my best friends growing up, when we were getting married, we would always kind of go up and hang out on Lake Winnipesaukee, and it just, there's something about that state that I think you know, it's in the Northeast, but it's so not. It's just so its own wild, free place. I'm just like wondering if you could just sort of talk about it a little bit.
I mean, it was, you know, I didn't know anything else. Like, you know, the only way, my parents were atheists, you know, so it's like the only way we even felt Jewish was because we were in New Hampshire, and people were like, they're Jews, you know, like, oh, we are, you know, like, oh, we are, you know, but, and, you know, it's weird because I remember growing up, I'd be like, oh, we're Jewish, but like, we're totally not, like very apologetic. And like my friend Brian Moses, who's Black, experienced a very similar thing in a very white world, which was this, I certainly would not be able to articulate it as a kid, but looking back, it was like I was a host, letting my friends' parents know that I'm safe to be around, you know, and they don't have anything to worry about. So I had to develop that skill of being very personable and likable and show that I'm safe, which is so odd, you know. And but it, you know, I didn't know any. It's like when people go, "What's it like being a woman comedian?" And I go, I don't know. I've only been this. Like I'm inside my body. So with New Hampshire, I mean, one thing that was always was like parents would go, "Are you from New York?" And I'd be like, "What's New York? I'm from here," you know. But then as I became an adult, I was like, right, like now these parents would be younger than me. I'm older than those. And they just were people who always lived in New Hampshire and just thought Jews are from New York, which they are, you know, like I don't have no malice towards it. It was innocent, you know, but it's just, it's,
but
you
like,
know.
But like now potentially like that same comment could draw like real just
Right.
right. Like you couldn't really say that now, right?
Right. Like if a teacher said that, they could maybe be, I mean, like I had a 7th grade teacher, and this is f***ed up, but you know, that was like, well, our family's working for Jesse Jackson, and so is our family. But he goes, your family must not like him, because he had just said that Town thing.
Yeah,
but we were fully Rainbow Coalition working for him. And I just thought, even in 7th grade, like for my teacher to point me out like that, I remember thinking like, well, if you thought he was really anti-Semitic, why would your family be working for him? Right. You know, like, it's just like, yeah.
That's what you're leading with.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's why he's our guy. Yeah, yeah.
But you know, I love New Hampshire. I mean, listen, people go, "Oh, you're liberal, you blah blah blah." It's like we grew up with guns. Like at camp, we learned how to like clean a rifle and you know shoot guns. And I had archery set. I guess that's not so bad, but I mean, it was pretty good. You know, it was like real country. You know, I mean, we lived on a farm, and the neighboring farm was like all the meat. That's how I became a vegetarian. Became a vegetarian when I was 7, because my dad, when I was 6, took me to pick out our Thanksgiving turkey, and I like pointed to a turkey, and Vic Villano, the farmer, just like chopped its head off, and I was like, "What?" You know, and I was like, "That's turkey?"
Yeah.
And so I couldn't eat turkey. Then I ate Happy Meals for like another year, and then I was like, "No, that's cows," and I was just grossed out. So we were at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and everyone was ordering, and I was like, I just want biscuits. And my dad sat me down at a little table for 2 and was like, all right, let's just admit that you're a vegetarian and figure out what you can eat, you know. But New Hampshire. I mean, I love it. It's odd because I haven't gone back since my mom passed away. You know, we would all go home to New Hampshire like in the summer and all hang out and be together. And my mom passed away, and then my dad and my stepmother like put their house on the market like that same summer. And I realized that they were only staying to be close to my mom because she wasn't well. And when she died, she was like holding both of their hands, you know.
Oh, man,
we're very weird that way, like, you know.
Wow.
So now we're like, I guess there's no reason to go home to New Hampshire. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But I do love it. I miss it.
Yeah. You know, for me, like Adam was the only, he was like the only artist that I knew, you know, like growing up. And you know, he was older and he was, it's just like so incredible, man. Like just, you know, like we would, you know, we would always they celebrated Christmas, and we all celebrated Christmas, and Christmas was like a big thing, right? Yeah, it was like But like, you know, you know, I just remember from the youngest age, he was like, he could play any song on any instrument. And I remember like sitting down with him, I got the synthesizer when I was in 4th grade, and he started like playing this song. He like taught me these 3 chords, and we made up the song together. It's like, she's mysterious. And it was like, walking through the night. The girl is out of sight because she's mysterious. I've never sung that before. But like, we like made that up together. He was like, that's how easy it is, man. And I was like, what? No, like, it was like he was magic. But I also remember, you know, it's with like an older cousin like that, you know, it's just like, it's very much like you're always like in awe of them, you know, and he was like so successful. He was like a rock star.
Like Stacy's mom came out, you were probably like 18 or something.
Yeah. But like even before, like just being in a band and like, you know, he wrote That Thing You Do, and then, and like, you know, I wanted to be an actor, and he was like, he had like a place in New York, you know, like, and he was just so, you know, far away and untouchable and godly to me.
It's so funny because he's such a like regular guy. He was such a regular guy. I can't believe I did that thing that people do like on Law and Order when it's like she was. And you go like,
he's passed.
Nobody does that. And then I was like, oh, I guess people do that. It's real.
But like, I was always like really hesitant. I never reached out to him. I never was like, hey, can you help me with it? Like, I remember one time I like needed a place to stay. I was like, you know, for a while in New York, I was living in I had a Jeep. I was living in my Jeep, but it didn't have a top, and it was raining. But I couldn't like bring myself to like ask out who had this like beautiful place. I couldn't like bring myself to be like, hey man, can I like stay there? And then like in later years, like anything you need, he was just like that. He's so kind. And you know, and I think probably similarly, like you were. I think much closer with him than even I was, weirdly. And
I get it, yeah.
And, you know, and that's, but I'm just like wondering.
Yeah, because like you probably weren't at a place where you could fight with him. You know what I mean?
No.
But like
no.
we would fight, you know, like siblings.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And
like,
I mean, can you just explain a little bit about like your guys? I mean, who knows, like whatever, who knows if this is it, but just for me, I'm just really interested about your relationship with him and who like kind of.
we started working together, like making weird videos. He had an idea for like a J-Lo video, but it's about like staying home, like about going to a party, but instead it's about staying home and watching TV. And I was like, yeah, I love it. Because we had this mutual friend, Daniel Kellison. And so we made some videos. We did stuff. He wrote the theme song to Crank Yankers, which was a show we did a long time ago. But he read my book and he came over my apartment and he's like, this is a musical. And he's like reading the chapter titles. That's a song. You know, I was just like, all right, you know, and we just started writing it together. And we just really had a good working relationship. I always think it's a great creative relationship when you can fight and there's no love lost. It's like we would fight and we would never walk away mad. We would like fight until we were dying laughing and both loved the idea, you know?
Yeah.
But I always think that's special when you can like go, you know, I mean, there were times where I was like, literally over my dead body, are we doing that? You know what I mean? But then like by the end, it's like, yeah, that's good.
It's pretty good.
Know?
Yeah.
But I always feel close to people that I can butt heads with without worrying that there's any love lost or anything. And we were good at that. And you know, he was like, you know, he was what's it called? Not hard-headed. You know,
stubborn.
Yeah. He was stubborn, and it's funny because I'm used to working with people, you know, we're artists, you know, like, and we're working with this theater, and he was so impatient because we're used to TV. Like he wrote like 3 songs a week for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Like he's like, I want a deadline. I want to know when the show goes up. And like theater, it's like, it took 10 years ultimately, you know, but he's like, give us a date. This is ridiculous. We can get this done. We're almost there. And I remember them calling me to talk about Adam.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they're like, well, I mean, he's just, you know, I mean, he got all mad. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I go, don't you guys work with artists? Like, I can't believe you're at like clutching your pearls.
Yeah.
Like he just, you know, like he would be very passionate about something. And I would say like, I'm not going to respond to you for 1 week. You have to sit with this for 1 week, you know, and then he'd be like, yeah, all right. You know? Or like he would go, I want this to happen now. And it probably would have been good. But like, instead we had to do like 2 workshops. And by the end of it, I go, do you wish we went up before the workshops or you like it better now? I like it better now. You know, but like, it was just so funny to me. And of course they love him. They loved, you know, but they were like, oh, well, I mean, he just like, he blew up at and I go, are you really upset about that? Like he's just an artist. Like he's not going to bite. He's just Adam. Like, But they would like be like, you're the Adam whisperer. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just a person who's not overreacting.
Yeah.
Like, but he was so funny. We laughed so hard. We worked so well together. And the truth, you know, I'm talking about like his like creative stuff, but I mean, he was a doll, you know, he was a love. And it's funny because before COVID hit, we started hanging out, not working, like just hanging out. He would come out here and he had this, I still have it in my phone. And as a matter of fact, it's in my phone for today, which is like every like second Friday of the month, he would have his piano bar, like a karaoke piano bar that he co-owns that would do like a pop-up here in LA. And we went
it's in New York, right?
Here.
Yeah.
In New York, he had Sid Gold's.
Right.
And here they had Gold Diggers. And it was like one night a month. And I started going to it because it was so fun. And I'm not a karaoke person, but we would both like go up and it's so fun. Just like in New York, it's like all professional singers and it's so fun cheering everyone on.
Yeah.
So we were like really hanging out, you know, and
did his death, like, did that did that kind of, I mean, for us, it's sort of like, at least in the beginning, it like just framed COVID in like a totally different
Yeah.
way.
I mean,
'Cause it was,
I still kind of don't believe it. Like
Yeah.
I just don't believe. Yeah, it's very grief is a funny thing, isn't it? You
Yeah.
can't control it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's so weird. I haven't cried, and then like 2 weeks later, you're in line at Gelson's, and you're like,
yeah.
you know, like it's just it does its own thing, and you
Yeah.
have to just let it. You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but it's so weird, and the show happened.
Right.
You know, and it's just maddening.
Yeah.
And it's also, it just happened so quick. He was texting us like, "Oh, can you believe this? I have COVID. Can you believe it? I'm in the hospital with COVID."
Yeah.
Like, and
Put
like,
me on a ventilator. Yeah.
it's just wild, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
To
At that time, you know, and so, you know, in the beginning of it, how
he
how
couldn't
wild all that
he
was.
couldn't get a test, and then he finally found a test, and then he never got they just never sent the results. You know, it's just so early on. Like if it had just happened.
Sure.
Anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
there's not this. It just happened. This is what is.
Yeah.
But boy, when the play went up, it's just he is all over
I
it.
bet. Yeah.
You know, it's and you know, the family came and everything, and it really felt like a celebration of Adam, this show, even though it's about me the year I'm 10. It's so signature him. So that was nice, but it's frustrating, but you kind of have to let it go because it's not going to change.
For sure. For sure.
I'm telling you, you know, I mean, obviously.
No, but yeah. So much of like doing this is like, I felt that it's like so not about me as a motherfucker. I believe in the people that I have on, like everyone. I'm like, you guys just like, I believe in this person. Just like check, like you said, you've gotten all these skills over the year, and you've picked up on this of all the therapy you've done. But also, you are like I don't want you to take it, but you're like a national treasure. I mean, you are like right. Like, do you feel like the podcast? Do you feel like some of the things you like? Is that your fight? Is that you taking the fight to the issue?
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, once I think about it, and I try to be kind of not wishy-washy, not weak, but a little zen, a little kind of like, because I try to go, if I hope for change, how could that happen? Does it happen by putting people on the defensive? It definitely doesn't. People can't be open if their, porcupine needles are up.
You got to be, as an artist, like, you got to be bold. You got to not really like give a about how some place lands. You just got to be really honest, right? And in my thing, like, I get this structure that like somebody else wrote, and then I can go as like far as I want. But for you, it's like the comedy of Sarah, like it's yours, right? It's like your
right. I can't go like, well, the writer,
right. Or like, this is just the character that I'm playing, right? So now in this like kind of political time where people have to be like careful about what they say, you're somebody who said all kinds of shit, and like you've been like punk rock and bold as a mother. But at the same time, you're now also sort of being like, I don't know, but like, I think that might be fucked up. I think that might be fucked up, right? And so it's like this.
Sorry.
No, but that's it. I mean, it's like, so how do you square that? Like, how does that gnaw at you? Does that bother you?
I think because I've learned over the years that there doesn't have to be shame in being wrong or being sorry. And so there are a lot of people that cannot say they're sorry. First of all, please, can we stop asking people to apologize? Like, it means nothing.
Right.
Like, apologies mean everything when they come from you.
Right.
But when it's like, you need to publicly apologize, please don't, unless you're sorry.
That's right.
So I always say, like, do not apologize if you're not sorry. And apologize if you're sorry.
Right.
It's a very simple rule, Right. And I get such good feelings from realizing I'm wrong and apologizing. And I just think, like, I want other people to have that, because I think, especially with how men in society have been raised, they're terrified. And so I see with all people, but specifically a lot of times with men, is that if they feel shame, they can't express it. It's not an option for them. So the shame like just the way carbs might convert into sugar, converts into outward rage, outward blame. I mean, you see it with Trump. He's just a really good, a really good example of these things, because it's survival for him to not be wrong. And there's so many people with this pathology. It's very human. Well, the trick is trying to understand it. They say mindfulness. That's all mindfulness is like being aware of it. Like, oh, I did that thing. I did that thing where I'm defensive. We were talking about drugs. And in my 20s, I did, and it really changed my life forever.
How so?
Because I was in a relationship with this guy, Sam, lovely guy, and he was trying to talk to me about, an issue he had with me, my behavior in our relationship. And my reaction would always be like, forget it, and like leave the room, like just total defensiveness, complete ego. And we took one night and we sat at his kitchen table, his dad's kitchen table, and we started talking about it, and I didn't feel defensive. I didn't make it about me. I heard everything he said, and it was like mind-blowing. And I was able to make those adjustments because they behooved me as much as him. And like waking up the next day wasn't like, oh, that was crazy. It was like I was still there, like, right. Yeah. It's very mind expanding. I mean, it developed in Dallas for couples therapy, and they found that people used it recreationally, so they had to make it illegal. But it was very helpful for me. But there's all sorts of experiences that can do that. But it was mine.
Yeah. Is there anything that you feel like you regret doing as an artist, or is there anything you feel like you should have gone harder as an artist?
I mean, my knee-jerk reaction is like, I wish there wasn't the most racist version of blackface of me out there. I mean, that would be awesome. But I can't erase it. The frustrating thing is the episode of television it comes from doesn't exist because the powers that be were like,
There's a thing of you. Okay, I didn't know that.
I had a show called the Sarah Silverman Program, and in it, just like my first special, Jesus is Magic, it's a lot about race, and it's in character. My character's name, unfortunately, is Sarah Silverman, but it's a character of like an ignorant, arrogant, an ignorant person who's incredibly arrogant. And I love those things together. And to me, it was like I could explore so many things and be the one who's the idiot, the in it. And it really, I really enjoyed it. Of course, there's going to be you can't control how people infer the stuff you put out, right?
Sure.
So, of course, there's going to be some what an old boyfriend used to call mouthful of blood laughs, where they're like laughing at the wrong thing in the wrong way. Which is, I think, a big part of Chappelle leaving his show, but which was so brilliant. But, it was, the episode was about me and Alex Desert, who played the waiter at the diner we always went to. And he's black and I'm Jewish, and we were arguing over who has it worse, which is so timely now.
Right,
it's like this bizarre competition, of generational trauma.
For sure.
And everyone on the show, it's very cartoony, are idiots. So of course I'm like, it's like a circle of black with like white, and I'm like, I'm a black person. Then I walk down the street and people are like, you're disgusting, and I'm like, oh my God, it is harder for black people. It's like it was very. Like almost commedia, and then, I come back to apologize to him, and he's got like the payas and a yarmulke and a giant nose and a t-shirt that says, I love money, which I put him in. I dressed him in that. The buck stops with me. Right. But of course now there is no context that makes that okay, and I accept that completely. Comedy is not evergreen. I like to think of myself as an ally standing up for all sorts of people, but when I stand up for Jews, all that comes back to me is that picture with this you, this you, this you. And I just feel like going like, it was. It's not now because I live in this world and I understand it. And absolutely, it was before social media. So it was about race, and I knew there was racism, and I knew there, it was, so that's what I was interested in and talking about. But it was ignorant in itself beyond my character, but my actual self, because I didn't have social media to see, unarmed Black teenagers get murdered regularly. This isn't like I go, oh my God, there's like a real epidemic of this violence against like unarmed Black teenagers. And it took me like a little bit to go, oh no, this is how it is. And I wasn't aware of it.
Right.
And now I know it. That's like a real amazing thing about social media, is how small it makes the world and how you can see other people's experience. So not being able to unring that bell, and of course you wouldn't want to, of course I look back on it and cringe, but with so many people, I just think if there's no path to redemption, if it's just canceled,
what are we doing?
then they're going to go to the dark side where the love is.
That's right.
Just to be very, black and white. But, Neil Brennan, I've quoted it before, has such a brilliant joke about this. And I'll probably quote it terribly, but where he says about people growing and that has to be allowed. It's like that he says it's like someone going up to LeBron James and going, "Is this you when you were 15? You were only 5'7". Yeah, but I grew. Yeah, but this is you, right? Yeah, it's so brilliant because you have to be rooting. Do you want people to be changed as we draw these lines in the sand, or do you want them to never be changed and to be able to point at them as wrong and yourself as right? It's righteousness porn.
That's right.
Ultimately.
Yeah. You have any questions for me?
Yeah.
What you got,
I mean,
dude?
I listened to you. You went on Howard Stern.
Mm-hmm.
That was a phenomenal interview.
Oh boy.
Phenomenal.
I'm so nervous.
It's just such a, you have.
How would you, when you did Howard Stern, were you scared? Do you get nervous before those?
I did.
Because I love you on Howard Stern. You did, your first time?
Yeah, the first time I went on, I was a terrible guest, and he probably would have never had me on again. And then he did, because I was like Jimmy Kimmel's girlfriend, and they were friends. And thank God it went great. And then I became like more of a regular guest and stuff. I hate that it was because I do think I don't think he would have had me on again. I was a really bad guest because I
infatuated with you, man.
He does. He loves me.
Yeah.
I think he loves me.
Yeah.
But the first time I was on, and I know exactly what I did wrong. I was trying to be cool. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I was. And isn't that what holds so many people back? They're trying to be cool. They're so afraid that they clam up and you're not open or weird or interesting, Like you're just too guarded to make a mistake or to not be cool, whatever that means.
So you remedied that by what? Like, what do you say to yourself before you walk on Howard Stern, or before you walk on stage, or if you say anything to yourself?
I do have this is embarrassing.
Nah, come on.
I have a couple tricks.
Yeah.
One is like at an audition or something like that. And I tell this to people because I really think it helps. I always think it's good to go into an audition kind of presenting yourself, at least in your head, as a host. Like that you're taking care of their feelings. Because then you're not focused on like, what do I do with my arms or whatever. And once you're in it, you should be in it. But when you're talking to them, it's almost like you're saying, are you okay? You need anything? Or, because then it's nice when somebody has to take care of you. That like gestures of care are what bring people together, But that's lots of Mr. Rogers. You know what it is? I grew up with Mr. Rogers like a little kid, but in high school, I rediscovered him. Before school, when I'd eat my cereal, I would watch Mr. Rogers, and I just took him in a completely different way with a more developed brain, where I go this is beautiful. I honestly watch an episode of Mr. Rogers, you're gonna cry.
How so? What was it like when you saw it when you were older?
Because he caring for children, and that he believed that all adults, I have no children, but there are children in my life, and that our real job as adults is helping children through all the changes of life, And I just think it's beautiful.
Sure.
You know, I mean, honestly, please Google Mr. Rogers at the Senate on the Senate floor.
Oh yeah, I saw it. And did you like the movie, or did you see the movie and the documentary?
Yes.
Yeah.
The documentary, I was working on this Hulu show, I Love You America, and we went as a field trip. And then the movie, I was sobbing.
Yeah.
And I met his wife was there, and it was Ginny, and it was not cool. Like, I was too much of a mess. And I think she was uncomfortable. I was like, it was really, I'm not a big crier because I'm on Zoloft, but I was just so moved. I just am so moved by this is hardcore, but like, it's crazy he wasn't discovered to be a pedophile or something. Like,
it's like there's got to be something rotten in Denmark.
He truly just cared and loved children and and you know what? That's what we should be focusing on. They're our future. They're us.
For sure.
You know, and I love this Gen Z. You know, they're so motivated. They're hopefully going to save us all. But
did you? So the article that the movie, right? The article that it was based. Did you read the article that the movie was kind of based on?
that was
that the guy wrote.
Right.
Was it like that's so heavy. The guy who wrote the movie, Noah Harpster's a buddy of mine who wrote that. Noah and Micah who wrote that movie, right? And so like, while he's a huge. You guys should meet. He wrote. Do you know him? He wrote. What was the show with Jeffrey Tambor, and he. No mother.
Transparent.
Yes. SarahSilverman, who I should have asked instead of the woodpecker. We call him the woodpecker.
Dennis?
Yeah, that's a woodpecker. Because he gets ideas and he just pecks. He just fucking.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, no, but these guys are.
I mean, I'm sure you hate it, but sometimes,
I love
it's
it.
for good.
I would be lost without it, but it's just I feel overwhelmed sometimes. But anyway, just read the article. It's crazy because the bond that Mr. Rogers, I guess. Really saved him, like really saved this journalist, like really saved his marriage, and was really there for him. And it's almost like, it blew my mind. But Noah is an incredible writer and just a total Mr. Rogers. He's the one that kind of turned me on to it. And, you were going to ask me about Howard Stern.
Oh, it was just a great interview, and just hearing about your early life and fighting and getting into trouble. And then didn't you go to acting school in like Moscow? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just it's an interesting trajectory, and it must track. Like they see like the things that make up you seem to be at odds. And that's beautiful, you know. I
mean, I think it makes me very much feel always like an outsider in this, which is something I'm totally comfortable with, and I've made like real peace with. But I was always that way as an artist. Yes, like I had this cousin who was like this great, but like I had no relation to that. It was all like sports
Grit.
and fighting. Yeah. And that was the only place I really found, I was like a pretty good athlete. I could like play sports in college, but I was never as good as my friends or my brother, or and being wild and doing the things nobody else would do.
I want to say you were like teaching boxing in a Law and Order episode.
Yeah.
They were like kids fighting up on a platform.
That was one of the first things I ever did.
You were like a baby.
Yeah, that was
I'm a Law and Order head.
Yeah, it was funny because Josh Chambers, who ran my theater company, man, this brilliant artist who died way too early too, he saw that, and I guess I was so nervous, I was like scratching, like I ran a backyard wrestling thing.
That's what it was.
Right? But I also was a big steroid dealer. So like, how Law and Order is, it's like you can either be the guy who lies, or you can be the guy that you get, if you're either the guy who tells the truth to show you to the guy who's lying, or you're the guy who's lying, then you get to come back and do another scene and you reveal that you were lying, right? And I was that guy. And it was a big part,
It was.
And D'Onofrio was on that, and he like sat down next to me.
Oh, it was a Criminal Intent.
Criminal Intent, man. And he told me I did a good job.
That's incredible, because I always heard he had no tolerance for like not actors that weren't excellent.
Dude, Vince, he doesn't f around, man. That guy doesn't f around. Like he is so, if you are an antithesis to what we are trying to do, like director, producer, if you are not part of the artistic journey, dude, you are the enemy, and he like lets you know. It's like, it's great. But yeah, I used to scratch myself because I was like so nervous it was the first time in front of a camera. But my friend Josh was like, that's like one of the big side effects from like steroid use. He was like, that was such an amazing gesture. And so yeah, I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did some, I did some research.
Did some research on that. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of like Peep World, and I'm a huge fan, like I've
never met anyone who's seen that movie.
I thought that movie was brilliant, man. And you're so good. Like, I just think like in so many of the, so many in like the dramatic stuff, like I just think you're a brilliant actor. And I think that like, I'm just like, do you feel like an outsider? Is that cheesy as You do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of comedians do. Like, anytime there's like some Hollywood thing, there's always like a little corner where the comics find each other, and just kind of, I think Island of Misfit Toys-ish. But
it's okay. What's up, baby? What's up?
Thank you for that announcement.
Yeah, exactly.
She talks.
Right? Yeah, she's so.
See ya.
No way. I didn't know that was a doggy door.
Isn't it the best?
That's
I
great.
love that they have, like power over their domain. Like, they can like do what they want. I try not to edit myself because of whatever we call like cancel culture or whatever. But it's more like if I know now that saying this kind of thing hurts people, I keep saying unring that bell because Jack McCoy does on Law and Order, but like I can't unknow that. And that's going to affect me. But my stand-up has changed just by virtue of being an adult and growing older and having different experiences and changing in my life. But you have to be brave, I think, to really get the most out of loving this thing that we do, and I really learned from Chris Rock, because he'll do a special and he works his ass off. He works harder than me. He gets mad at me because he's like, I do 200 shows before I shoot a special. You're doing 30. And I'm like, but I'm scared on the road, and like you're in a private jet and I'm at Southwest Gate, and like it just, I don't know, everyone's different. Yeah. But he's so good, and but he's brave, not just in the material. Oh, hi.
What's up?
Do you know I was in the middle of something deep?
Yeah, man. Dude.
I'm just kidding. I can't be mad at you. Yeah. What he taught me is he's brave, not just in his cake material or whatever, but he'll do a special. That material's dead, and he goes back to the cellar, and the crowd goes bananas because it's Chris Rock, and he just tries new stuff and is willing to disappoint the audience and bomb, maybe find a couple kernels of something and start from there.
And you're not willing to do that?
Yes, I am, but I learned it from him.
Right.
After my first special, that was like the culmination of like my entire first 10 years of stand-up or something. And it was solid and great, and it was like this character, that well-developed character. But when it was over, I was like still doing it. And then I was just like, I've got to write new material, but people are coming just to see me now. I'm not just a comic on the lineup, and I don't want to disappoint them. I had to learn to disappoint them. I had to learn to start from zero, have my notebook, and just disappoint the crowd. But they some people don't get it, some people do, and whatever. It's just, you have to be willing to do it, because otherwise you're not going to write new stuff, and you're not going to grow and figure out who you are today or now. And so like my stand-up's changed so much. But like you said, like, what do you regret? And I do have those regrets. I don't know that I would change it, because I like the path I'm on. I like realizing new stuff and everything, but you do have to grow and change, because if you stick with that one thing that got you up to one place, you become a caricature of yourself. And it's like how very still water will get mosquitoes.
That's right. Get all nasty and gnarly. Yeah.
You've got to be moving, and I don't know what my point was. I think I had a better one, but I forgot
No, I'm
it.
with you. But with that, do you feel like, just like with art and with life in general, do you feel like this is the healthiest Do you feel like you just get better and better? Do you feel like this is the healthiest you've ever
I do.
been?
And you know what? Joan Rivers said something that made me so inspired because she was, we're very different, but I loved her so much. But she said, like, she felt like she didn't find herself as a stand-up until she was in her 70s. And I love that about stand-up and acting too. Totally. Like that there's a place for everyone of every age. I mean, so many of my friends are comics and they go from anywhere from 19 to 96, you know?
That's such a
and they're every religion and every color and,
But what you said, that like really resonates with me. And it brings back to Howard Stern, I think. I am so inspired and encouraged and like in awe of people in their 70s, people who are older, who continue to change, continue to grow, but find happiness, that their personal lives are growing.
I mean, it makes me think of, there's a Sondheim musical, Sunday in the Park with George. Yeah. And in it, there's a song called Move On. And the whole show is about art. And it's cool. Like, if you listen to the lyrics and she's just saying, move on, the choice may be mistaken. The choosing is not just, so in other words, just make a choice. Yeah. If it's the wrong choice, you'll make another choice. Right. But you've just got to move, go forward, That's right.
That's right.
And I find it inspiring,
Right on. Oh, you guys got anything else? Huh?
You mother. Got anything else you want to know?
You mother.
I do take naps. Not always, but if I have.
Well, did they load that? Did they load that?
They said you don't. They said you're anti-nap.
Yeah.
It has to be the right amount of time. It can't be too long, or you're.
I'm not. Look. Here's my thing. I can't with a nap. I can't with that. I respect it. Yeah, man. And like
I just think it's so great that we can disagree on this and still be friends.
We can totally yeah. And I can still respect the fact, that you now. When I call, let me ask you this.
Okay.
If I were to call you up, right? Like say we were, like we were phone friends, right? Like I'd love to be your phone friend. Right. I hit you up and be like, yo, Sarah, what are you doing? I just got up from a nap. Like, I think there's something.
You'd be like bummed out?
I'd just be like, really, man? Like, that's what you're doing right now? Like you're taking a nap?
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
Yeah.
I have a very active dream life and I have to be there a lot.
Fair enough. All right, that's cool. If it was like the middle of the day, right? And you're just like, all right, I'm watching some stupid, I'm smoking and watching this show. Would you be like, yeah, that's what I'm doing?
What do
would you be like, are you fine with just being like in the middle of your day? Like that's like you're putting out into the world.
Right.
I'm like I'm just smoking a watching a show. Like
if you called me and I was napping, what you're saying is I should be like, hey, what's up?
There you go. Yeah. Like, like some sort of, because we have to like, but just like, man, like some, there wouldn't be a tinge of like, damn, I was just taking a nap. I mean, I would hope we would have that honesty, but there would be some part of you that would be a little bit like, dude, it's like 3:00 and I'm napping.
I'll never forget one time for a while, I was waking up and then sitting in a chair. I had, this is my first house. Like I always lived in like a 2-room apartment and I was in that apartment and I would get up and I would just sit in a chair, like all day. And then my phone rang and I was like, hello. And it was my agent. And he's like, what are you doing right now? And I said, working. So I get it. Yeah. And I also have that hang up from my dad. Like
Gotta go.
When my dad would call, like I would, if I was staying at my mom's house, my dad would call. I'd like turn off the TV so he didn't hear it in the background. I have such a hang up about seeming lazy.
Yeah.
So, but as an adult, I go, well, this is my life that I got.
Fair enough. And you've earned yourself a nap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like a little nap.
Yeah. You motherfuckers haven't earned a nap. None of us have earned that yet. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Just don't nap. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Let's go to sleep.
I love bedtime, though.
Bedtime's the best. It's the best.
Nighttime is the right time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I would have like heated the pool to like bathtub level and we could smoke and like hang out, but have a show tonight. And
you have a show?
Yeah, and I cannot get high before a show. My brain just gets too mushy. Most of my comedian friends are high all the time. And
when they're
brilliant
performing?
on stage.
Yeah.
That brings my two favorite things together and makes them a living
I
hell.
was listening to you say you were saying that you get high. You like playing basketball high because sometimes it makes you awesome, sometimes it makes you shitty.
Yeah, and who cares? It's basketball.
Then I'm the same.
Sometimes I'm just in the zone. Like I don't even feel my legs or arms. I'm just floating.
Straight up.
It's so good.
I heard you're good, man. I heard from John Polano said that you're good. I don't mean to be
Who?
like this dude John Polano. He's played with you a couple times.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. I think he played
At Gary's?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture of here. Oh yeah, there. Okay, I always guarded Gary.
Oh, really?
Of course, it wasn't that hard. He's like,
Are you playing? Are you playing again?
I played for the first time since the pandemic, like a month ago, and I think that might be it for me.
No,
I'm
why?
so sad because it's my joy. I love
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah,
I love having a puff.
Yeah.
But I thought I was gonna die, and you know,
Dude,
I
but you
always
can
think
remedy that. That is there something that hurts, or are you just tired? That's what I'm talking about. That's that now.
Right. Well, that's the thing is no.
No, seriously, that's
Because
that's
I'm
not a reason
dragging
to
and
stop.
dragging, and then I hit a point where I'm great.
Right.
Like I don't feel it
But that's
anymore.
just you're not in shape, dude. Just get in shape. Sarah,
I guess
if
you're right.
if your
I'm
knees aren't hurt or your
52.
back's not, dude. But if my dad's 76, he still plays 3 times a week.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Full court?
Full court with 20-year-olds. Full court. Full court.
Okay, 'cause-
let's go. Hey, listen. I promise you. If you play with me, like just come play. We'll play down in Venice. All right?
Okay.
Come like.
I love it so much. You
just
play
gotta get
outside?
outside, inside, whatever you. Oh, then
Please.
we'll play. My brother's got an indoor game.
No. Oh yeah, I love an indoor game. That's what I was playing every Sunday for so long, and sometimes on Tuesdays, and it was so great. But yeah, I guess you're right. I'm just out of shape. But that last game, there were exactly 10 people, so
You couldn't
everyone
leave.
was playing.
Yeah.
And I was literally, we'd go from offense to defense, and I'd be like, somebody get my guy.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
really sad.
Can you
know?
describe your game? Sorry, and if we need to leave, do we need to stop? Do you have to go?
No, I'm, obviously I've always been
show.
an outside shot person.
Oh,
but
okay. I thought she was explaining like I have a show, so you guys got to leave like pretty. I thought you were about to go.
No, I
there.
can talk forever. But but
I
it's
heard
funny
that you
in
have a
my
good outside
later
shot, yeah.
years.
Yeah.
I feel like like before the pandemic, I felt like I was the best I'd ever been, and I'm and
Dude.
we're like doing more and going in the inside more, being a little more brazen, and it as a woman playing with guys.
Mm-hmm.
I realized something that like kind of affected my whole life, which is, and it's not the guy's fault, it's my perception's fault. And every once in a while there'd be another woman and I would be like, watch how many times they shoot and miss and watch, and they keep shooting. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get good. Mm-hmm. But when you're a woman playing in that atmosphere, if you shoot and miss, your instinct is to go, I'm just going to set picks and not shoot.
Pass the ball.
Because missing one shot is like missing 100 shots when you're a woman. It feels that way. Right. Even if you're projecting it, you feel like, especially early on when I would like have to, it was all proving yourself. Yep. You would feel the guy's eye roll or whatever, and you go, all right, I'm just going to set picks and do what I know I can do.
How did it playing pickup basketball as you were getting more and more famous? How did that change? Like, was there a frustration there? Was there?
No, because I got more. They were more cool playing.
Yeah.
With
See,
me.
I'm just the opposite.
Really?
Just the opposite. Yeah. See,
but are you at a level where you're playing like? Do you know like the 4th Street? This game on 6th Avenue.
Yeah,
on 4th
me and my
Street?
brother used to play there. Yeah. They used to call us Scud and Patriot, by the way.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I mean, because that's like. Those guys are like pros.
I mean, they are.
It's really
My brother played it pretty. My brother's really good. I'm a street. I just play like me and my kids all over these fools. But like my kid's 9. He was whooping their ass when he was 8, dude. Yeah, actually 7. Little Bill. Anyway, but my dad played college basketball. My grandpa played college basketball. It's like a basketball house. I didn't play. I played baseball and football and box, right? But like, I really, my old man always says you get a guy on the basketball court and in 3 seconds I can tell you exactly what his personality is.
Yes, because there's the guy who goes, like slams the ball down and you're like.
Totally. Well, there's the guy who just keeps shooting, like you said. There's the guy who sets pick and plays defense. He's hardworking. But also I think that the beauty of street basketball is because there is no ref there. Your integrity is always like who you are as a human being.
Are you the one crying about a foul, or are you the one who's like,
crying,
my bad?
Period. Right.
You
Do you
know?
talk? Do you not talk? Do you talk in a way that's like encouraging
I love
everybody?
talking, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel like they loved it. They didn't love it. I like joking talking.
Look, I personally, I play pretty physically, and I really loved playing in New York and out here in LA. I loved going to courts where people were like, "Who the fuck is this dude?" Like, white boy this, and then like I like that kind of What I hate now is like, "Oh, got the Punisher on my squad." I hate that because people are like accepting.
It's like people who want to fight Mike Tyson.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
Who fights with him wherever he goes.
That's right. No. I don't mind if they want to do that. That's fine. What I mind, and I'm not like trying to be like, but I don't like it that now it's like, come on in and play. I like basketball. I like the animosity of street ball.
That's why it's banging. I usually am an indica person, but because sativa would give me anxiety, but for basketball, it's great because you just put it all in there, you know? And it's interesting how that kind of relates to, this might be insane.
Let's do it.
It kind of relates to what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
Basketball.
Yeah. Oh, God. It kind of relates to how we're talking about like the polarized ideologies, the left, the right, and everything, because it's for a lot of it, and not just the right, also the left, it is unexamined, misplaced anger that you can put it here and feel like it's righteousness. And what's wonderful about basketball is that you can put all your rage into this game. Not to pick fights on the court, but to just run.
But also you can put your energy, and you can channel whatever's going through into being a good teammate, into like setting the right pick and getting that rebound and encouraging that guy. Let's go. That's what I love about it. You know, that's what I love about pickup basketball. So
the teamwork. It is so true. Just what you said. You can tell so much. You can tell what their work ethic is. Totally. You can tell how they are in groups. You can tell, if they're like exactly.
Fuck this. I'm just going to do it myself. I'm just going to take it to the lane
over
and over
band,
and over. Yeah, totally. Thank you very much for doing this.
I love you. I'm so happy to. I love your podcast and I love your acting, and I'm a fan.
Thank you.
And you're delicious, and you're a sweetheart.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. This really means a lot, and I can speak for all of us. We have. We revere
Come on,
you.
guys.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us hear. Thank you, Sarah.